Hey, John Kavakis here with a very special edition of My Take. There's been news out of Brooklyn for the last week and a half or so, and some of it has been, a lot of questions, some confusion over what's going on. But we had the opportunity to sit down and discuss this with Simon Elford of Brooklyn. And so he's going to clear up some of the confusion, explain what happened, and we'll get all the details here in this short interview. So let's see what Simon has to say. It is another edition of My Take. Today, we're going to spend some time with Simon Elford of Brooklyn Models. There's been a lot of news coming out of Brooklyn recently, and we're going to get all the details now. Simon, it's good to see you again.
Hi, John. Yeah, good to see you. Sad times, I'm afraid. Wish it was better, but yeah, no, it'd be good to get across what we're planning to do for the future.
Well, I'm excited to hear about how we're going to go forward. There's always been a path forward for Brooklyn. And you and I get a chance to talk fairly frequently, but very seldom do we get to share like this. So I know there are a lot of people that have questions. And so if it's okay with you, can we address some of them?
Yes, certainly. Yes. Yeah,
okay.
Definitely.
Last week and a half ago, you issued a statement concerning the news facility in Paulson. What happened there?
Yeah, and obviously, we put a statement out because I didn't want rumors to spread, but obviously you've seen that we've laid off 5 of the 7 staff that were there, so we're down now to 2 staff, and we will be retaining those 2 staff in a new facility going forward. It's a real shame, and it was a very sad day, I think, for everybody. It was really sad for us. We got the factory set up. It was all running. It was running quite nicely, but it's just the economic climate has just killed it. The sales are very low, and we can't. Basically, we're running 2 companies now, SMTS and Brooklyn, and it's really only one business. And subsequently, sorry, it's my phone. Subsequently, we need to put everything all into one area. Really, we just can't manage 2 companies in the current climate.
I know I had the opportunity to talk to the owner a little over a year ago before the move to Paulson. And, I think there are a lot of misconceptions about who he is and what he does. I've said before online, he's a collector like us. He's got a passion for cars like we do. Yeah. And one of the things he was struggling with the most was the welfare of the families that worked in Bath and eventually ended up in Paulson. So, and then, I was there when you had to carry those hard decisions out. I know how tough it was on you. And I just want to give a shout out to you guys because I'm aware of the fact that you did everything you could to hold on to the operation.
Yeah, no, it's, it went relatively smoothly last year. And so we got into the new unit. And I thought we were set up quite nicely for the future. It really has. I mean, this year, the start of this year has been really quite poor, and cash flow is just killing everything at the moment. There's just the lack of cash coming in is just killing it, and we can't just carry on. We're trying to keep 2 businesses going across those lines. SMTS is pretty much independent. We can survive on our own, but even SMTS we're struggling right now. Retail is really down. Our commercial side is okay, and we're getting orders in on that. But even we're struggling at the moment. I suppose going forward, we're part of this foundation, which is there to protect both companies, and there's other companies within the foundation. But essentially, you can't just carry on going forward like that. Something's got to give eventually, I suppose, and to make sure that the foundation is secure for the future, we need to make sure we can cut costs where we can.
So in that light, these changes make sense there for the preservation of the company, not to dissolve it. So you had I know that you had a new paint booth. There was some new equipment you had in Paulson. What will happen to that?
So the paint booths will probably sell. We've got a slightly different paint set up in Hastings, and we've just had a fairly new booth put in down here, so we won't need those. The paint scheme and that we can bring back down. All the equipment, the casting machines, and the melting pots and stuff can come back down to Hastings. They'll obviously, we are keeping Neil and Darren working in near that area again, actually, and so they'll need some of that equipment, the casting and the mold presses and such like. But other things like packaging, all the stock, anything like this can all come down to Hastings. We've got two, good sized buildings here, and they're pretty much full, but there's a lot of rubbish here, so we'll have a good sort out and make a few changes, get it all down here.
So Neil and Darren are staying on. Will they be working remotely?
Yeah, they will be. We've got a nice little unit for them. It was important, I think, to try and keep the essence of Brooklin there. And Darren with his patterns is quite distinct in the way he makes his patterns and the way he does his work. And the big, although we do roughly the same work, we're both white metal model companies. We approach the work in totally different ways. One of the biggest differences between us and them is the casting. So they've got this unique way of casting bodies in a block mold. And there's other companies that do block mold, but the way they do it is quite unique, and it gives you a totally different look to the casting. So it was important that we kind of, if we're going to carry on making Brooklyns, that we keep that look and that feel, and they are Brooklyns going forward.
That's good news. So Neil and Darren are going to have a workspace.
Yes, yeah, we've got a fairly good sized workspace for them, and they'll do molded, pattern making, molding, casting. And they'll, we can help us out as well. I won't have to go up as often. That's been one of the issues, really, is that I'm trying to run two companies that are only 200 miles apart, but 200 miles in the UK is quite a way, and it can take me 5 hours to drive there.
Wow.
So there and back is a day's traveling. So yeah, that'll help an awful lot.
So what I'm hearing from you, Simon, is that Brooklyn's not going away.
No.
Okay,
no,
you're not going to become a sub brand of SMTS.
No.
Okay. What is there going to be a name change for the overall company?
I don't think there will be, but I think they've invested a lot into Brooklyn over the years, the name and the marketing and new cars and patterns, and that will carry on. Mr. Walbury still wants some cars made from his MB collection, and we've got a lot of releases lined up. We had got a lot of stuff lined up for this year, and that will still carry on. It may be a little delayed in coming out, but we have got new Brooklyns to release, and we've got the Packard Caribbean, which I know everyone's waiting for. That is, the patterns for that is done. It's been molded, it's cast, so we can start on that down at SMGS. And we also got a lot of work going on around Lansdowne. I know some people have been waiting for that again. Obviously, we're doing a release for Elmo 4 of a Ford Zephyr Executive, but we've also got a couple of new. So we do realise it's the 30th anniversary of Lansdowne this year, and we've got a car lined up for that, and we'll release some stuff on that soon. And we've also got a couple of more releases coming out for Lansdowne, which Darren's pretty much finished work on, actually.
Yes, we have Darren working on castings over here. Who does the castings at SMTS?
So we got John, who was one of the original partners of the business. He's well into his 70s now, but he still loves coming into work, and he does all the moulding for us. And John, John started in the really early days of mould making and on white metal casting, and he's designed a lot of different ways of making moulds, and we do things that Brooklyn don't do. John's invented certain different things of making moulds. So he does all our moulding, and we can do some really complicated pieces for what we do there. And we've got two casting people at the moment, Stuart and Paul. But we've got everybody here at SMGS who's been here a long time can do almost every job. So we've all been through every department. So we've done the casting, we've done the painting, we've done the building, a bit of pattern making as well. So we can all rush in and do the
So white metal 143rd white metal models are not unfamiliar to SMTS.
No, and obviously we built the Conquest and Madison ranges and Western models and everything else for years and years. So yeah, we've done that, and I think people will be familiar with those as well. And
you've been doing the most recent versions of those models as well, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah. We still carry on with those. Still work for Route 66. So there's a lot of commonality, but you have different ways of putting things together. Yes, it was when we first went there. It was striking how, although we were doing exactly the same thing, how we approach things so differently.
Mm-hmm. But the models I've seen coming out of SMTS recently have been every bit as good as Brooklyn. So they do have a little bit of a different feel to them.
They do, yeah, they do.
But I noticed several years ago that the interior work on the SMTS models was being raised to another level. So I guess I'm seeing the same attention to detail that we saw coming out of Bath, and having Darren working on these things. I just think that the models that have been most recently released are the best white metal models I've ever seen, and that holds up against a very high standard. We all are aware of Motor City and how highly regarded they are. I think you've been doing work even better than them. So what does this new company look like? What will the combined companies function? Do you see a specific role for SMTS and a specific role for Brooklyn? Or
I think we'll keep them. Well, so yeah, it's early days. Obviously, we've got to settle down. We've got to get the move completed first of all. So we've got till end of June to be out of where we are now and settled. But I think once we're there, I mean, SMTS is traditionally better known really for commercial work. We've done a lot of work for other companies. We supply a lot of other companies. We don't really build an awful lot for ourselves. And we'll probably carry on with that. We'll carry on with our commercial bits and pieces and doing work for other model companies. And Brooklyn will remain manufacturing Brooklyn models primarily, and models for the MB collection. And that'll stay like that. And Darren and Neil will be heavily invested in that. And we'll, they're going to come down and we're going to go off each other, so we can keep that style of Brooklyn there. We can work with them to make sure that the style remains the same. But the two companies' identity will be different. SMTS is going to stay that more commercial side, and Brooklyn will be more the retail side, but it'll be concentrated on Brooklyn.
So the website for Brooklyn will remain the same?
The website will remain. I don't say it will remain the same. I think we need that needs updating, and it needs some changes, especially going forward with the new setup as well. I think it's a bit cumbersome at the moment. We need to work on that, and that's something that's being worked on at the moment. So it'll remain basically as it is, but it'll be updated. I think it's going to be simplified a little bit, and we can rotate the stock a bit more, because it gets a bit, sometimes they can get a bit heavy sometimes, these websites, and not if they're not updated enough, they don't look, it gets a bit boring after a while. I
was excited to see you listing some of the SMTS models on the Brooklyn website.
Well, I mean, obviously we got SMTS hasn't got its own. We've always sold through eBay traditionally, and we've done very well at that. But it's good to have that other outlet for us. And we don't build a huge lot at SMTS really, because we're just busy doing other things. I mean, we won't be going huge into that, but we every now and then we build bits and pieces, and we'll continue to list them on the Brooklyn website.
So the for the Chicago show, by the way, thank you for all the support you give to the shows. It means a lot to the hobby over here, and from the videos that we've been putting out, it means a lot to collectors on 143rd everywhere. So we really appreciate the support you give us for the shows and for promotions and that sort of thing. But you sent some of the Lotus Esprits, and those are made out of resin. Have you given thought to resin production?
Not particularly. I mean, we do a lot more resin at SMTS, because some of our commercial customers they want resin, or they've got particularly big items that you just can't do in white metal. So we do some much bigger bits and pieces, do big engines and stuff, and they're big, and you just can't possibly do them in white metal. So we do a lot more resin here. We wouldn't particularly look at doing much resin in Brooklyn. I don't know, the Chinese do that so well, and they've got it wrapped up, and it's not really what Brooklyn's about either, I don't think. That white metal, it's a dying art, isn't it? Let's face it, there's not many people who do it anymore, and it's got, when you get a white metal model, it's got a different feel about it. It's got a different look, and that heft is what
And it's the heft, and it's an intangible benefit of the white metal models. It just feels substantial.
Can't explain it, but it's there. It is, yeah. So I wouldn't think we'd be looking at anything to resin for Brooklyn.
Well, I'm excited. Can we talk about something that might be a little bit sensitive?
Yep.
I'm putting you on the spot.
Here we go.
So, we had a messy affair over the Caribbean. And originally that was intended for another club. And I know that you guys have been working diligently on it. And, is the plan still to offer that to those people that placed orders on the original production run and then have some left over for other folks? Are we still thinking about that?
Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, so I think you've probably seen pictures on the internet that Darren's built some color samples and just test builds. And it's all done. It's all patterns completed. We've done the casting, the body's cast. So we're well ahead on with that, and we'll carry on. And I think, we will be. We will be offering it. Anybody who originally put an order in who wants one, when it's ready, we'll put an email out to everybody. And and yes, I think we'll offer them first refusal.
Yeah, Tom Kinney over here has been keeping a list of people that are interested in it, that showed an original interest in it, and they're keen on getting a model. So I'm just so pleased that, as messy as that affair was, that you guys just kept trooping on. You did everything you could to maintain some integrity there. But there's a high level of interest in the model, and from what I see, it's going to be spectacular. Yeah, no,
it really is a lovely little model, and although it's taken off of our Packard Patrician, isn't it? It's almost a totally brand new model. From the bonnet back is all brand new. And the roof and all the we've done a lot of work to the interior. We've addressed all the side trim and finishes. Darren's done a huge amount of work on it, and it's looking spectacular. Those colour trials, obviously the colours weren't quite right at all. I've just actually come in the post the last couple of days, the original Packard chips from 1954. So I've got the colours here. So obviously we're going to do the bikini blue over the Packard ivory. So
yeah, beautiful. Well, I'm looking forward to that. So Lansdowne's coming back. That I'm sure the Lansdowne guys are going to be pretty excited about that. And it's not just a one shot. You've got a few models there. I know you've been working on some Cadillacs, and there are plans for others. I'm not going to ask you to disclose those because the way the market works right now, somebody else will spit one out in 2 weeks. But so you've got solid plans for going forward. This consolidation is an effort to maintain the operation and to keep it viable. It was a hard decision for everybody to make. We all feel sorry for those families that have been released, which was, one of the owner's original concerns. What he said, those families that have been with us for so long, we got to do everything we can. And so I believe that you guys have done everything that you can. So, my video series is called My Take, but I'm wondering what your take is. What are you looking forward to the most in this new venture?
Some stability. The most. Yeah, I mean, we need to really, we need to get back on track. I spent all of last year, an awful lot of time last year moving, telling my wife that once this is over, I'll have a bit of time off, and we'll have to. And now we've just come out of it, and we're starting all again. So I think to get this done, to get the move completed, get back up and running again, and I'm looking forward to better times later in the year. Once we've got the move done and we're back on track here, I'm just looking forward to getting back to what we should be doing, which is making models. And from
that's the main idea.
Yeah, we've had a tricky couple of years for one reason or another, And what I would like to say is, really thanks to all the collectors who've supported us over the years, and there's been some really nice comments online as well after we put the statement out, and there's been some concerns, and we understand those. And several of the comments have been really nice about the support that we've had from the MB Foundation and from Mr. Bulgari. And I'd like to say a big thank you to all the staff at Brooklin as well, because obviously I came in 2.5 years ago after Nigel left, but everybody really puts their heart into it. They've worked really hard, and I'm just really sorry that it's ended up like this, and we've had to let them go. We will carry on. We will keep going, and I think I've got hope, and I think the way we'll go forward, we will be cutting the costs right back, and with the combined work of SMGS, touch wood, I think things can be good.
I love that, Simon. The fact that you can sit in the seat that you're in right now and say we have hope. And I think that's the encouragement we're all looking for.
Yes.
So look, I really appreciate your time. I'd like to get together with you sometime soon and maybe do a tour of the plant in Hastings like we did on the previous one. I'm sure everybody would like to see the operation.
Yeah, no, we can certainly do that, and that'll be good to do. And I think perhaps when we've got the move completed, which will be June time, we can perhaps look at doing that, and perhaps we can have a talk about some of the releases that we've got planned for Lansdowne and Brooklyn as well.
Oh, fantastic! And I know the BCC's trying to regroup and do the AGM in Hastings in the fall, so that might be an opportunity for some of us to see that in person.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think I'm not sure whether it'll be this year. I think it all depends on what we can do. But I'll continue having meetings with the BCC and see what's doable, what's viable.
Okay, thank you for your time, Simon Elford from Brooklyn. Thanks for spending some time with us, Simon.
Thank you, John. Thanks.